Hello, welcome to Restorative Flow Yoga. Hope you're all having a good day so far. It's been kind of, to be honest, a bit of an off day for myself. When you just have one of those moments or days when you're kind of like, why am I doing whatever I'm doing? Which is so weird because it's so beautiful outside. Anyway. Thank you very much for coming. I'm excited to teach this class because I'm looking forward to getting some stuff out myself. So tonight we're going to work on a bit of somatic movement as we normally do, and some yoga nidra or guided meditation, which is, I guess, what it's more commonly discussed as. And basically, that's just to kind of settle into the bones and settle into the body. Because usually, when states of anxiety or panic or depression show up, there's usually a separation between the mind and body, and meditation can kind of help unify those things and just settle back into our system, which I personally need. Safety disclaimer, make sure that everything that we move into tonight, you move into slowly, very mindfully, and that you avoid pain of any kind, especially in a restorative class, because we'll be holding some of these poses for several minutes, and sometimes that can be a bit intense for some people out there. So make sure that you follow your body. Make sure that you realize that whatever I say is just a suggestion. I am not the master of what you do. I'm just giving you a guided sequence that may work. Always avoid pain. And as we transition out of these postures that we'll hold, very important to, when you transition out, you move very slowly and you find a place of neutrality. So a place of neutrality is really just a position that you come into that makes you feel good. Sometimes it can be a counter. You might go to a stretch, or you might just go to a comfortable seated. You might lay on your back. But it's basically where you get out of the pose and you just let the feeling of the pose marinate and settle. And it's a great moment to check in with your awareness and your connection to the body parts that we were working on. Yeah, and that's all. If you don't have any blankets, I would go get some now. Hopefully you have something around the house you can use. Pillows are great to have. Blankets are great to have nearby. I will be giving a few suggestions of what you can do with those. However, it's up to you where you want to place those in tonight's practice. So if you're like, I would really like a pillow under my knees. So even in a cross-legged seated position, sometimes our knees are high. If you want pillows to stack up there, then have them stack up there. So hopefully you have everything on hand, ready to go. First, just come into a cross-legged seated position. Bring the hands to the knees. Let's just see where we are. Just breathe. Notice where the breath is. Notice where the body is. If you could give it a name, what would you name it? For me, it's heavy. I feel very heavy today. I feel sticky inside. Let's go ahead and invite a little bit of movement. So slowly begin to feel like you're stacking each vertebrae of the spine, one on top of each other, getting a taller but very relaxed spine. So you kind of feel this little elevation from the tailbone through the spine up to the top of the head. Good. Check in with your low back. Make sure you're not arching too much there. Not too much flexion going on down there. Okay, and so let's go ahead and start with our shoulders tonight. All I want you to do is just think about where your right shoulder is. Keep your palms on your knees. And then ever so slowly raise the right shoulder directly towards the ceiling, which means it's naturally going to curl towards the right ear at some point. And when you've gone comfortably far, not as far as you can go to where you're doing some strength training, then you want to just slowly release the right shoulder down. And you keep releasing. So this is the releasing, letting go, letting the shoulder keep relaxing till it completely stops on its own because it can't relax anymore. And once it's gone as down as far as it's going to go, compare the right shoulder with the left. You might notice already that the right shoulder might feel lower than the left. And do the same thing with the left side. Just bring the left shoulder towards the ear. When it's gone as far as it's going to comfortably go, then very slowly release. So it's not moving the shoulder down, it's just letting go of that muscle that turned on the shoulder, bringing it up to the ear. And as you let it go, it keeps going until it just stops doing anything. And then check in with the right shoulder. Did it move up? Mine did. Good. And then from here, if you could isolate just one shoulder, it could be your right one or your left one, and just make circles with it. Not the biggest circle on the face of the planet, so make it a smaller circle. But try to hit every point of a circle. And try to go very slow. Notice that some parts of the circle you want to rush through. Pause that shoulder, let it relax, move to the other one. Doesn't really matter what direction you go in your circle. Just go slow. And relax the left shoulder. Good. So now we're going to do both the shoulders are going to make circles. Notice that oftentimes they have to kind of go, or just notice whatever you went to. Sometimes the shoulders were in the exact same circular pattern, or you may be either in more opposite, one down, one up. Try to just move the shoulders and have a relaxed low back. Good. Now go a bit bigger with your circles. Doesn't matter if they're moving in unison or if they're a step behind. Good. And then go ahead and relax the shoulders. Take your left hand, bring it out to the left, tent up the fingers. And now from here, you're just going to bring your right palm straight forward. So now we're going to make big circles with the shoulder, but we're going to utilize the whole arm. So inhale, the right arm goes up. Exhale, it slowly starts to reach behind you, palm faces out. As the palm comes down to the floor. Okay, and continue that pattern. Inhale, palm comes up. Exhale, palm comes down. So it's a full circle here. Let the palm move in the way that feels natural. Still keep a nice tall spine. And feel every movement of the shoulder rolling forward, going up towards the ear, going back, and going down. Next time the palm comes down to the floor, leave it there and just switch to the other side. The left palm comes up and then back. So you're making big circles. Imagine the arm is moving in unison. The palm is moving in a very natural way that it would want to move to do this. Next time the left palm is down to the floor, let it stay there. Good. Now bring your right palm behind you. Take the left palm to the right knee. And we're going to do 3 twists or 3 somatic twists. And then on the 4th twist, we're going to stay in the twist. So remember, somatic twists, we only go 50% in first, then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more. You always want to introduce the movement before you force the movement or before you go deep. You don't want to force it at all. So inhale, keep your ribs forward. Exhale, twist 50%. Inhale forward. And exhale, twist. Inhale forward. Exhale, twist a bit further. Inhale forward. Exhale, final twist, and stay in the twist where you feel the need. Have a comfortable, nice breath. Calm, fluid, full. Send some thought to your upper right shoulder. And remember when you were reaching behind you, when we were making those big circles and the right shoulder blade was rolling back. Can you try making the right shoulder blade go back a little bit further now? And on an exhale, unwind back to the front, both hands on knees. Pause right there for one breath. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So left palm comes behind you, right hand to the left knee. And remember, somatic twisting, so we only go 50% and on the first twist, and 50% is usually a lot less than you think it is. Inhale where you are. Exhale, twist just a bit. Inhale forward. Exhale, twist a bit further. Inhale forward. Exhale, twist even further. Inhale forward. And your last twist, this one you stay in. Keep the breath through the nose. Keep it fluid. And fluid just means that it's kind of like a smooth inhale to smooth exhale. It's not super controlled, nor is it super relaxed. Roll the left shoulder blade back a bit further if you can. And slowly unwind towards the front. Pause here. Good. And from here, we're going to move to an eagle wrap with the arm. So you just bend both elbows, stack one elbow on top of the other, and then wrap. If this is not really available to you, you can always grab the shoulders instead. Whatever one works for you. Just take the elbows up slightly. Just give a comfortable little squeeze. Stay right here. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see the next move to transition out of this. So give a couple or a little bit more of a squeeze in your arms. What we're going to do is move out of here into a reverse tabletop for just a few breaths. This will help open up the legs, the back, everything. So the next inhale, you want to reach your palms straight out, left to right, big, like you're about to hold something wide. And then exhale, the palms come behind you, plant the feet. Inhale, lift your hips up just a little bit. Stay here. 2 more breaths. And on an exhale, come right back down, cross the legs. You can switch the crossing of the legs at any time if you want a bit of variety. And come back to an eagle wrap with the opposite elbow on top. Breathe through the nose. Think about your upper back here in the trapezius muscle. It's this giant muscle that's from the mid-back up to the shoulders. And right now it's going to feel, you might feel something back there, but that's mostly because it's being stretched. But it should feel relaxed. If anything that's being flexed here, it's your pec muscles to help squeeze the arms together a bit. And let's move into reverse tabletop. Remember, on the inhale, you reach out, open up very wide. Exhale, the palms behind you, plant your feet. Pause before you come up. So in this reverse tabletop, bring your hips up a little bit higher, but I want you to imagine that you're actually drawing your shoulder blades back when you get high, okay? So inhale, lift up, look up, let your head fall back maybe. And can you bring your chest even further up and feel your shoulder blades trying to touch each other behind you? And then slowly come back down, cross the legs. Okay. Good. Bring the hands to the knees. All right, so from here, we're going to come into a child's pose, and we're going to hold that for a few minutes. It can be many variations of it. What I would suggest is your toes come together at the back of your mat, knees comfortably wide, and first, just see if you can sit on your heels. See what that's like. Now, before you come down, decide what you want in front of you. What luxuries do you need? So for me, I think I'm going to use one of my cushions and keep that in front of me, and I'm going to lay across it. You can take a few pillows, you can roll up the blankets that you have, and you can just use a block. But from here, I'm just going to slide down, rest my head on it, remove my glasses so they don't mess up or they get bent. I'm just going to rest my head on it. You can choose which way you want your head to be here. If it's switched to one ear, or if you're laying on one side, like I'm laying on my right ear, just make sure, and I'll cue it a few minutes in, we're going to switch to the other side. But just stay here for a few breaths, and if you decide that at some point the cushion is too high and you want to move it, then move it. But find that place of stillness. And for me, the cushion is too high. And as you find that place of stillness, we're going to start trying to come in tune with gravity. Okay, that's good for me. Good. So now that we've been in this pose for a few minutes, or for about half a minute, Begin to become aware of the assistance of gravity gently lulling you a bit further to the floor. So, a great way to understand that experience is to consider the concept of being like water. Water follows the path of least resistance. When you spill it on a countertop, the reason it goes in all directions is due to gravity gently guiding it down. Stay here and just keep breathing. Let the belly drop. We spend so much time during the day, often holding the belly in for various reasons. But this is your own little practice here. Let your body go. We got about another minute or so in this pose. So for the next few breaths to fulfill that, just take a scan of the body. If you can notice anywhere that might be flexed to avoid something, any area that's causing a bit of tightness or a bit of tension, maybe you can send your breath to that and invite it to loosen, to open, to relax, to settle. Or maybe you invite for yourself to make an adjustment to make it feel better. Keep allowing yourself to fall further. Good. Slowly come out. And before you come all the way out, just extend your palms forward, nice and wide to the edges of the mat. And I want you to push your palms into the mat to elongate the spine. Allow your chest to come up. Tent the fingers. And feel a long back and try to take the curve out of the low back. Oftentimes the pelvis is arched away. Try to curl it in. And then slowly come up and choose a position that's going to feel good to stay in for about 5 or 6 breaths. For me, it's coming right back into a cross-legged position. In fact, I'm going to stack one leg on top of the other because that feels nice. And when you come into that place, just acknowledge what had happened. Let all the vibrations be there. And before we transition to the next pose, we're actually going to do a real deep psoas / thigh stretch. So you're going to take the right foot forward, okay? And you're going to send the left leg nice and back, but keep the left knee down. If you have any tension with the knees on the mat, you can always take a blanket right under the knee, like so. So first, before we do anything, try to make sure that you can come all the way up and you can keep your pelvis forward or stacked. So what happens is when people do a thigh stretch is that they arch the pelvis, or they arch the low back, and the pelvis tilts back. What ends up happening is they're not actually stretching their psoas, they're kind of cheating with the pelvis arching back. I want you to try to tilt your pelvis forward. And in order to do that, you really have to engage a bit of the core, a bit of the thigh. Okay? In fact, go ahead and take your hands to your pelvis, might help you with that, or your hips. And then we're just going to do a couple stretches where the right knee is going to come forward. You're going to keep your pelvis locked right underneath your shoulders. Just lean forward. Notice that stretch right in the groin thigh area. Try to keep your pelvis forward. Don't let it tilt. And then just come back out by pushing into the right foot. Pause here. Just do 2 more like that. Come forward. Don't let that pelvis tilt back too much. Oh, it's very deep. And come back. 1 more. You can choose how intense you want this to be. And then come back. Oh, that was good. And then just slowly switch to the next side. So right knee comes back. Left foot comes forward. So first, remember, you want to make sure that your pelvis is neutral and forward, kind of slightly tucked forward. Engage the abs, engage the right thigh just a little bit to keep, or the right hip, to keep the right hip forward. Bring your hands to your pelvis, or even your low back can really help to avoid the arching. And then as you come forward, keep your pelvis forward and feel the deep stretch in the right groin, right thigh, and then come back. Come forward again. And come back. You might notice it's kind of difficult sometimes to not let the pelvis tilt. But if you feel this in the inner groin area, you know you're doing it right. 1 more time. And come back. Excellent. So go ahead and move the blankets to the side. Good. From here, we're going to come into constructive rest. So both feet onto the mat and lay back. So your feet are going to be hip width distance apart. Thighs are nice and parallel. Good. And then from here, we're just going to do a few somatic movements, so arch and flattens. Remember, they're very slow, and they're about flexing and then releasing. Like if you're going to flex your bicep, and then slowly just like release the bicep. So Inhale, arch the low back, pelvis tilts away. Stomach comes up, so that space behind the low back shows up. Exhale, just release the low back. So it's just letting go of the muscle flexion, but very slowly. Again, inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Two more, inhale, arch. Exhale, release. Last one, inhale, arch. Exhale, very slowly release, let it melt down. Yeah, good. Pause here for a few breaths. Okay. So from here, we're just going to elevate the pelvis in our last position, and we're going to stay there for quite some time. Elevating the pelvis can be done in many ways. You can use a foam block. You can use a bolster. You can use rolled up pillows. Rolled up blankets. However you want. But just get it under the pelvis. And then today we are going to try to have our legs straighten out. But before we do that, keep both feet onto the floor. Get your pillow or your bolster or whatever under your pelvis set up nice and comfy to where you feel pretty secure. Good. Okay, so from here, all you're going to do is straighten your right leg, flex the right heel, just kick straight forward, and then very slowly try to relax the right heel towards the ground. And if it doesn't touch, you can bend the knee a bit. And then when it touches, relax the right leg and do the same thing with the left. Kick straight forward through the heel, bring it down. Whenever it touches, it touches. If you have to adjust your bolster at all, go right ahead. And try to stay here, and hopefully you're feeling a bit of a stretch in the pelvis or the kind of the psoas muscles and the top of the hips, the hip joint right where it meets the thighs. If you have an eye mask or anything like that, I would put that on now. Oh, great. Plenty of time. Okay, so in this position, we're going to go through more of a proper yoga nidra. So in this sequence, or in this guided meditation, you just want to visualize kind of like a little white light or blue light or an energy that's lighting up certain parts of the body. You don't have to imagine that, but you can also just imagine your awareness coming to that area. So we're going to start with the head. Just imagine a bit of light or a bit of awareness, feeling the head meeting the floor and the weight. With each breath, you feel it releasing, dropping. Moving down to the throat. Feel a weight. Feel it settle. Moving to shoulders. just at the top, feeling the pressure of gravity release them down closer to the floor. Moving on to just the right arm, imagine the right bicep, the tricep, relaxing, the right forearm, the palm, thumb, fingers, and the whole hand. Now the whole right arm, heavy, relaxed, and dropped. Moving on to the left bicep and tricep. Moving on to the left forearm, the left palm, the thumb, the fingers, the whole palm, the whole hand, and then the whole left arm feels heavy, flat, dropping. Now imagine both arms equally weighted down. And from here, moving on to the chest, the sternum, the heart, the ribs. Just send your awareness there, let it settle. Go inside and feel your lungs. Notice it moving, the stomach, the chest. Move down to the pelvis, the hips from left to right, getting heavy. The right thigh, the right shin, the right heel, the big toe, the pinky toe, the toes in between. Imagine the whole foot dropping. Now imagine the whole right leg heavy and in unison falling. Moving on to the left hip, the left thigh, the left shin, the left heel, the big toe, the pinky toe, toes in between. Now feel the whole left foot dropping. The whole left leg dropping. In unison, connected. Feel both legs connected through the pelvis. Heavy. Feel the arms and legs and head all connected through the center of the body. Now feel the whole system. And imagine a weighted blanket, one at a time, being pressed on the entire body as you slowly become more articulate with gravity. Sense the whole system, the whole physical body. And now that that's rested, we'll go one step beneath that into the emotional body. And what's there? If you can name whatever you're feeling or experiencing, go ahead and give that name. Without judgment. And if we can go one step further, deep into the consciousness, deep into kind of the center of who you are, center of what you are. And just breathe with that rhythm. Tapping into that universal thread that connects all of us. Just keep your breath nice and calm, fluid. As we slowly move our way out, leaving that deep body and go into the emotional body. How are you feeling? From there, move back into the physical body. How does the floor feel? How does the air feel? And slowly plant both feet onto the mat. And ever so gently, very lazily, remove whatever is underneath the pelvis. Just set it aside. Melt the pelvis down. Stay right there. And then go and hug both knees into the chest very slowly. Take your time because that low back may be feeling a little intense for some of us. Hug the knees in. And then come into a laying fetal position on the left or right hand side of the body. Knees comfortably bent. Take a few moments of appreciation here. Just appreciating that the ground is there, that your body's there, that you're here. And then very slowly and lazily come back to a cross-legged seated position. But really take your time. When you get there, go ahead and bring your hands to prayer center. Comfortably tall spine. Take about 5 breaths here, smooth and full through the nose. Remain mostly still throughout it. Let's do a collective sigh together. Inhale through the nose. Sigh it out. Then slowly inhale your thumbs up to your third eye. Chest rise comfortably. And exhale, bow. Namaste. And come right back up. Well done. Thank you very much for coming. A bit more gentle than even the other classes. So part of that yoga nidra, it was, some of it was proper, some of it was more freelance, I guess, because in most yoga nidra, you just focus on the bones. But I like to go a bit further and focus on the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, or the connected body, or the consciousness body, whatever discipline you come from that you want to call that. And the reason we kind of go to the physical, emotional, spiritual, and then you go from spiritual, emotional, physical out is because it's very important that when you go into any kind of meditation, you kind of repeat the process in reverse on your way out. And one of the reasons is so you're not or like it's kind of like going from a very calm state and then you're going to jump into running, you know. You really want it to be a nice smooth transition so you can carry some of the stuff that you learned in that process and don't lose it in the rapid fire or the quickness of whatever happens. So hopefully for the rest of the night, you can carry a bit of whatever you found in that practice and a bit of whatever serenity that might have shown up or not um, into the rest of your day. And that's all. Thank you very much for coming to class, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. And try to move slowly because that was a nice one. And you probably need to drink enough water. See ya.